Okay.
So hi everybody, this is Rebecca Olkowski, and I'm with the two Boomer Broads, except I'm missing my other broad. She's back in Laguna, she fell in love, she's just busy, getting some, I guess. But I decided to take a trip down to Ventura, California, and I'm going to talk to Cindy McGonagle, who is an intuitive business consultant. And she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does, and, maybe we'll bring in some of the spirits and see what happens. So say hi.
Hi, I'm Cindy McGonagle with cindymcgonagle.com, and I live in Ventura, and I am a intuitive business consultant and psychic medium. So the first thing that I love to do is introduce people to how to purify and clear their energy fields. And so I'm using Palo Santo, which
Smells
is
good.
a common dried wood that you can get in your metaphysical stores, and you burn it, and it actually clears the field of energy and honors the spirit of you in the room. So we're doing that. And as an intuitive business consultant, what I like to do is work with business owners and help them develop their intuitive abilities. That includes clairvoyance, clairaudience, and all-knowing, and to believe in themselves more than they ever have before, because we all have all these different helpers on the other side that are just waiting to be asked.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How did you decide to kind of go into that end of being a psychic?
Well,
What drew you to that?
As a child, I was always kind of getting in trouble for kind of blurting out things that were, like in my environment. And so later on in college, I had a roommate, and she read tarot cards. And so I asked her to read the tarot for me, and I did the worst thing possible.
What was that?
After she read for me, I said, "That's not at all where I'm coming from. Do it again."
Oh.
And so therefore, she says, "No, I won't." She goes, "You can have my book and study it, and you get your own deck of cards." So that was way back in the 70s. Oh my God, I don't know how old I am.
Me too.
And so ever since then, I started reading for friends, and then started reading professionally for businesses, lawyers and doctors and things like that. And I just kept getting awakened by things like I had a garden when I moved to Oregon, and I was between museum contracts, and I heard a voice that said, "Plant it this way," and I thought, "What is this?" And because I had been in school in San Francisco in horticulture, and that wasn't the way that we were taught to plant. But I tried it, and it worked amazing and had good results, and I thought, I'm going to go find out what that voice was.
Oh.
And so I went to some metaphysical stores and read about channeling, and I realized that some of the people that were getting information to write their books, they had access to something. So I listened to the Paralandra work and started using her method of just a pendulum, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous. She didn't just use a pendulum to get this book, so I just said from that point on, I want to hear. And that's what started to open up more of the information on working with the nature spirits. I used to go to a medium when I was young and go for readings, and I always thought that was kind of interesting. His name is Charlie Goodman. He's on the other side. He still works with me as a guide, and yeah, and when I'd go with him for reading, he had a light, and he'd turn the light off, and then he said when the spirit was in the room, the light would come on and it would flash, and sure enough, sooner or later, it would. Here in Ventura, I actually have a ghost that's in my house.
Oh, really? Here?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Where is he?
Well, I named him George.
Uh-huh.
And he helps me regulate the heat in my house because there's no heat in the back bedrooms.
Oh, there isn't.
No. And so...
Well, this is an old house, too, so...
It is.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is. And typically these are workman homes in Midtown Ventura. and they all have ghosts.
They do?
Yes.
Wow. Ooh.
My neighbor next door, she was in one of the rooms with her roommate, and they tried to get out, and they couldn't get out because the ghost was holding the door shut.
Do you actually see the ghost, or do you just feel the presence of the ghost?
Okay, so to get to know the ghost, originally, I would play my radio, and then he would turn it off.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was like, all right, that's ridiculous. Okay. So I would say, George, I need to hear that music. And I'd turn it back on, and he'd turn it back off. So what I did was, to get to know him, I just made a list of things I needed done in where I live.
So he wanted to be helpful.
He wanted a job. And
Oh.
that's really the key to working with the other side, because there are all these beings who have either been on Earth before or in another dimension. They're just waiting for us to ask for help.
Oh, okay.
And so there's angels that can help you, and archangels, and there's your relatives on the other side. It's unlimited. So we need to ask, and that's what I do. I help people understand how to form a partnership, more or less,
Uh-huh.
with guides and angels that'll help them.
Wow. That's really cool. I know that you had mentioned to me that you also did some work with fairies in the garden.
So when you connect with the nature spirit world, they're looking for people that actually have really open hearts. That's the first key. And so for every piece of property, there's one being in charge. It's called the overlighting deva of your property.
Oh.
So when I do like land readings and work with people online or on the phone, and they're not, obviously in the same city that I'm living in, I can just tune in by address and get connected to the being. And then by doing that, I can help the owner of the property understand like what colors to plant and where to focus their energies. Every season, if you garden, you know that there's certain flowers that bloom during that time. And even when you're planting your vegetable garden, you're much more in sync with the rhythms of the earth by tuning into the nature devas. And they're a lot of fun to play with.
Oh,
So I'm going to tell you a little story.
Okay.
I have a little clover patch that's in my lawn out front.
Uh-huh.
And every day I go outside and I put my hand down on the clump of clovers and say, I love you. And within about 6 months' time of living here, I started to be able to go and pick 4-leaf clovers from my clover patch.
Oh, they grew the 4-leaf ones. Oh, that's really cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so whenever I can go out there and just ask for a 4-leaf clover and find one, I know I'm on the right track.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I remember reading about that place in Scotland with the fairies.
Binhorn.
Binhorn, yeah, I can't remember the name of anything, but yeah, that was really a fascinating story.
Yeah, there's some breakthrough authors that have gifted us a lot of information about how to work with the nature spirits. But if you have a garden and an open heart, you can connect to the fairy kingdom by communicating with a being known as Pan. He's the connector between the human kingdom and the fairy kingdom. And you can also ask to have a fairy become your friend. That's how I met my fairy queen, Fairy Queen D. And she is the regional fairy queen for the greater Portland, Vancouver area of Oregon and Washington. And so she's taught me a lot of things. In fact, a lot of the formulas that you see in front of me
All right, you want to hold them up?
are my new potions that I have. This one is the love potion. So I'm going to...
Is that the love potion number 9?
No, but I do have love potion number 9.
You all remember that song, right?
So I'm going to read the words that you say when you put this on.
Oh, okay.
And
I could use a love potion.
Okay, so you put it on your wrist,
Okay.
and then this is what you say. Want to say it with me?
Okay.
Lover, lover, come to me.
Lover, lover, come to me.
Closer ever, still to be.
Closer ever, still to be.
United by the moon.
United by the moon.
The stars, the sun.
The stars, the sun.
God and goddess together.
God and goddess together.
We join in love and lust.
We join in love and lust.
Together we enjoy ourselves.
Together we enjoy ourselves.
Together we are the best of friends.
Together we are the best of friends.
And lovers evermore.
And lovers evermore.
So be it.
So be it.
And so it is.
And so it is. Ooh. I hope it works.
Well, you'll have to let me know. I have no doubt.
Okay. What other kinds of potions do you have in there?
I have a money potion.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It comes in its own little money bag. This is also a formula given to me by the fairies. You can put that on.
Ooh. I put it on over the love?
Yeah, you can mix it up.
Okay.
So this draws money and opportunities and synchronicity into your life.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Money. No. Yeah, I definitely can use that one.
So if you come to any of my events, you can always get the potions from me.
Do you sell them online too, or how would people that don't live nearby, how would they get it?
They need to come visit me.
Oh, okay. Book your flights right now.
Or come
to Ventura.
Come to an event right now.
Okay.
And I do also have a sex oil as well.
Ooh.
Mm.
Okay. Should I have some? No.
Not right now.
Okay, yeah, I might get horny or get obnoxious here. So when you're working with a client, how does that work? What do they do? You know, what's the whole process that you go through?
Well, I like to really start off with a palm reading. So let's see your palm for a minute.
Does it matter which one?
No. Well, what are you, right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, so if you're right-handed, I like to look at the right hand, but I also look at the left.
Okay.
The left is not necessarily the future, but it's what I call hidden talents and abilities your soul wants you to bring through in this lifetime.
Ooh.
So with the right hand, you're going to see the most line changes because obviously you use it as your dominant hand.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't realize that.
Okay, so let's see what we see.
Hopefully it's good.
Of course it is. All right, so I have a little pointer that I like to use. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to see this, but the line closest to your thumb is called the lifeline. The line up through the middle of the palm on the thumb side is called the headline. And then over here, underneath the little finger, the major line is called the love line or the heart line. Okay? So when I'm looking at you, one of the things I like to do is I like to look at whatever jumps out at me. So the fingers represent Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury. Okay, and so the first thing that I see on you are all these little triangles, and when I see a triangle that it's not formed on that lifeline, shows me really good intuition. So I'm hoping you use your intuition daily, right?
Well, actually, I recently was asked to be a fortune teller at a couple of parties, and I, went as an actor doing it, but I was starting to feel stuff, and people were going like, wow, that's really great, so I guess I have something in there.
Well,
I was using crystals and stuff.
Maybe you'd like to have a few sessions with me to really develop your skills in that area. Right?
Maybe.
Okay. So, so what I'm going to look at your heart line for just a second, and it looks like you kind of, when you have this little V that comes off, little Y that comes off the end of your heart line, for those of you that actually have that in your hand, you actually have a pretty wild side to you.
Oh, yeah. That was in the 70s, though. It's kind of stayed in the 70s, hopefully. But...
Oh, no.
Well, maybe not. It kind of came out a few times. But
Oh, well, let's bring that out again.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's in there. Let's, I have an event called Sexy You that's coming up.
Oh, boy. Ooh.
Okay, so the index finger on your dominant hand is your power finger. And so I'm looking now at the print on that. And if you look here, it looks like a little paper clip over here. And so that's part of, just you're very balanced when it comes to that. And it's in the loop. You have a loop that looks like a paper clip. So loop is balanced. Let's see. And you have another loop. It's a little more, they call it tented when it's pushed up like that, close together. And this finger remembers power, and then this one is Saturn that rules regulations and the law. So again, you're pretty balanced when it comes to taking things seriously. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and legally.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then this is the sun finger. The sun finger is about rejuvenation. And again, you have loops. Loops are the most common fingerprint type in palmistry. And again, the finger here is Mercury, and it represents creativity. And you have a lot of creativity. When I look down here, these are all areas. These bands on the lower side that go horizontal on the little finger show me creativity that's untapped, that you haven't even delved into.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Well, that's why I went into being an actor and everything, and then, you know, life happened. But I still do it.
Yeah. The other thing I really like on your hand, you have a lot of asterisks. I call them stars in palmistry that line right up on the Mercury line, which show me that you're really good at communicating. And you're also really good, it sits on your headline here. Shows me that you're very smart and that you're able to use your mind in a way that's super creative in whatever endeavor you do. You also have the lines of the healer here. All these little marks that are like vertical lines running from the little finger. And that shows me that a lot of the work that you do is actually very beneficial to other people. And you could actually use your hands in like Reiki, and sending energy out, and just what you do. Communication is one of your greatest strengths.
Well, I did do that when I was acting. I had an unusual acting teacher, and he taught us how to radiate our presence, and so that worked. And then I also did that on a couple of people that I knew that were ill, you know, just to make them feel better.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing. I just was feeling the energy, and you know.
I have a class that's coming up that you might like. We're going to actually use Reiki.
Oh, okay.
And you'll be exposed to some of the basic symbols of Reiki and how to utilize them. Actually, we're going to set up a grid, with the Reiki symbols.
Oh,
so
okay.
For protection in your house, to keep good vibes in the house.
Yeah, I could use that.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Anyway, let's see what else I see over here. You have a tendency to be worried. All these lines across here show me worry, and hopefully, especially in the early part of your life. So family was like super important for you. See how it's all tied together. All three lines, or the headline and the lifeline are all tied together. See all this? Okay, and probably you became much more independent, say, when you were about even late 30s.
Yeah, actually, I moved out when I was like 18, but that's what people did then.
But you were still pretty tied to your family at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, they were nearby.
Yeah, and I like this big open space between your lifeline and the fate line, which runs up the palm and usually to your middle finger. Yours starts on what's called the lunar quadrant, which is the edge of your palm on the left side, and shows me that you are spiritual and that you are in tune with your intuitive side, and you have a big space between the fate and the lifeline. Indicates travel. Travel is always good for you. The more you travel, the better off you're going to be.
That's my favorite thing in the world, and it sometimes gets frustrating when you can't do it when you want to do it.
I'm also writing a beginning of a celestial palmistry book, and so I'm taking palmistry to a new level. So I have associated the outer planets with some of the patterning that I'm starting to see in people's hands as we move more into an open consciousness of what's going on with the earth. So this finger, the little finger, represents Arcturus. Now, do you know Arcturus in the sky?
No.
Okay, so imagine the Big Dipper in your mind, and then you know it has that arm that comes off. The next brightest star below the arm of the Big Dipper is Arcturus. And in your hand you have what I call one of the celestial sigils. You can see this right here. It's a large asterisk, and you have a square around this. And so when I see that, and it's attached to this particular finger here, it shows me that you really come from a heart space in all the work that you do, which is excellent. and you're moving always towards that and in the expression of what you do. So that's just a little bit about palmistry.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
What next? Huh?
Yeah. So you mentioned you have different classes. So what types of classes do you offer? And do you offer them in-person classes or?
Yeah, so I do all kinds of different events. Like I said, I have a Sexy You event that's coming up, and I've teamed up with a dance choreographer and who teaches pole dancing.
Ooh.
And she's choreographed a great little chair dance for us to do. And what we're going to do with that is she's going to teach us the moves in my studio here in Ventura, and then I'm going to help people clear out their second chakra. And the second chakra is all about stepping into your power and clearing out your womb and releasing any of the fears or doubts that you've had that have been in your lifetime, you know, focused in that area. And once that happens, watch out, world, here we come. Yeah, another one, let's see, there's all kinds of events. I just finished an abundance oil event where we mix up the oil, and then I help people to realize how to attract more abundance in their life. And we did a lot of work with sound. We used the crystal bowl to bring in, with intention. We would touch the bowl and strike it, and then we would say exactly what we wanted to intend to draw into our businesses. And then we worked as a group to help focus that energy, to help that person who is in the center of the circle to actually manifest what they were asking for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things that we did.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Wow. So are there any ghosts hanging around right now?
Your grandmother's here.
Oh, really? Oh.
She's right behind you.
Oh, well, she's the one that I kind of emulated a lot because she used to be in vaudeville. I think if that's the one. I don't know if that's, I have obviously two of them, but.
She says, oh, honey, you know who it is.
Oh, okay. I can feel it. I'm like getting chills.
Yeah, and that's the sign, you know, that I really always want people to recognize what they're feeling on their bodies. You know, when I'm talking with you and when you're in your own space, you know, one of the ways that spirit validates what you're getting is giving sensations in your body. And I always ask clients to kind of take a breath and realize, where are you getting that? Is it centered in the heart? Is it centered in your head? Is it centered, you know, around your waist? Because that kind of gives you a clue where you're coming from.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Does she have anything to say?
Yeah, she wants you to keep the acting up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure she does.
And she's asking if you do some acting with children.
I used to. I taught. Well, when my kids were going to school, I was teaching one of the gifted programs.
Okay.
With it was with teaching them acting and art together. So they were acting out paintings, classic paintings. That was just something I kind of thought up on my own. And then I also directed a play with them. I've done some children's theater, and I actually did a play where I was a 3-year-old.
How old were you then?
I was 28, and it was an UNESCO play, and he was actually there while we were doing it. So it was really neat.
Yeah, she says that you could help teenagers, okay, with their like breakout roles.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I do have a bunch of voiceover fans, and a lot of times they'll ask me questions about, you know, how can I become a voice actor?
There you go.
Things like that. And they're all different ages, but some of them are young.
Yeah, she'd really like you to give some of the tips of the industry out to the world.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because you are so wise. I mean, you've experienced so much that someone beginning in the industry might want to learn.
Oh.
And you may take it for granted, but you could share that wisdom with people.
I may have to add that on do some more of that on my other blog, which is called RebeccaForstat.com. That's my voice acting blog. And I haven't been blogging in it lately because I usually work on my other one, my babyboomster.com, which is my main blog. That's kind of where I have all my travel and lifestyle and things like that. So I'll be putting that on that site also.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have your story on that? How you began being a voiceover?
I do in my about section, yeah,
Okay.
a little bit.
Because if you could talk about that a little bit to the younger audience, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and she's even saying, more social media. More social media.
Oh man, I'm a social media queen. I have like 4 Twitter accounts, Instagram, Pinterest, everything. I'm kind of a wild baby boomer in that way. But thank you.
Yeah, and she's saying
She was always cool.
yeah, dedicate something to her and how she inspired you. And then encourage other people, to look to their own relatives for talents and abilities that they can bring through.
Yeah, she actually passed away when I was pretty young, but my dad, I have pictures of her, and my dad, always talked about her. He wanted to be an actor too for a while. He ended up becoming a salesman, and he was really good at it. So,
That's
yeah,
good.
it's kind of been in the family.
That's
He ran
fun.
a community theater also, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's always been in your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bunch of jokers and.
Laughter is everything.
It's
It's
true.
such a good
it's
way to
true.
break the ice with somebody,
Yeah. Well, I think we've come to the end of the podcast. I hate to make it end. Maybe we'll have to do it again, but
Anytime.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Tell them your website again.
It's CindyMcGonagle.com. Just think of Professor McGonagle, and I work with all the realms. And if you're interested, check my website out. I invite you to find me on Facebook, and we'll be doing a Facebook Live in just a minute.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.